Good morning. Buenos días. Thank you for joining us today for the Virtual School Choice Fair. Gracias por estar con nosotros en esta reunión de la Feria Virtual de Selección Escolar. Para los padres que están en nuestra llamada esta mañana, si necesita traducción a español, por favor revise su pantalla a la parte de abajo de su pantalla y seleccione la palabra More o si dice interpretación. Todo depende cómo usted está en esta reunión hoy, si fue por una tableta, por teléfono o por una computadora. Cuando mira una de esas opciones, presione y cuando mire la selección de español, presione al español y entonces va a poder tener acceso a una interpretación al español. La reunión de hoy va a ser completamente en inglés, pero sí tenemos a alguien que va a traducir. Cuando usted presione español, usted va a poder escuchar la persona que está traduciendo por nosotros hoy, que se llama Delia Rodríguez Mazjuán, y ya le podemos acomodar con el idioma. Vamos a empezar en un ratito. We will begin in a few minutes. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Buenos días a todos. We are going to get started. Thank you again for joining us today in the Virtual School Choice Fair, our very first one. Gracias por asistir a nuestra reunión de esta mañana de Feria Virtual de Selección Escolar. We want to thank all the principals that are joining us this morning. Again, just a reminder, if you haven't done this yet, for our panelists, if you can just, again, make sure that your name appears on the video as well as your school name. So that way our families can tell who is representing what school. Para nuestros panelistas, los padres, cuando ustedes revisen el nombre de las personas, los panelistas van a tener su nombre y también el nombre de la escuela en su video para que puedan mirar quiénes son los directores o representantes de nuestras escuelas intermedias. Again, I just want to remind those of you on the call this morning, our students and families, this is our middle school choice fair Zoom meeting. We have our high school Zoom meeting at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We've gotten a few questions, just trying to clarify that for our families and students that are joining us this morning. So just want to make sure that you understand that this one in particular for 10 o'clock is our middle school choice fair Zoom. De nuevo, es para aclarar a nuestros padres que están en nuestra llamada, si están aquí esperando que va a ser información de nuestras escuelas secundarias, esa reunión no es hasta la 1 de la tarde. Entonces, si quieren cerrar ahora, pueden hacerlo y regresar entonces unos minutos antes de la 1 usando el mismo enlace. Again, use the same link for the 1 o'clock if you are looking to join the Virtual School Choice Fair Zoom for high school. Thank you. So before we get started, I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. My name is Janet Pichardo. I'm the Director of Family and Community Engagement. Para nuestros padres que hablan español, mi nombre es Janet Pichardo. Soy la Directora de Asuntos Familiares del Distrito de Providence. Para nuestros padres que necesitan traducción, desde ahora, por favor, miren hacia abajo de su pantalla, seleccionen interpretación o si miran la palabra more, ahí pueden mirar y pueden seleccionar el idioma en español. Entonces, so right now I'm going to just show a norm for our families that need interpretation. Para nuestras familias que necesitan interpretación al español, miren hacia aquí en su pantalla. Si miran interpretación, presiónenlo y va a tener un menú que dice español. Seleccione español para que pueda escuchar la reunión de hoy en español. Si está en una tableta o teléfono, va a mirar aquí More. Y aquí van a poner entonces, presionar More y le va a dar el menú en español, que le va a dar la opción de seleccionar español. ¿Ok? Y voy a tratar de recordarle a las personas que siguen entrando a nuestra reunión para que sepan de antemano lo que nosotros estamos dándole de información. Before we get started, again, with our question and answers for today, we are going to view a short video with a message from our superintendent. And so we're going to get started with that video before we get started with introductions and the question and answers. Para nuestros padres, de nuevo, vamos a ver un video del superintendente Harrison. Gracias.
Hello everyone, Harrison Peters, Superintendent of Providence Public Schools. And Happy New Year. Family and student involvement in education is so important. You have a choice, and we're glad that you have chosen Providence Public Schools. Now is the time of year to select your school for the rising 6th and 9th graders. We have a number of options for our students that will prepare them for college or career. We have small schools, large schools, career and technical focused programs, fine arts, advanced placement courses, and so much more available for you. But the most important factor to consider is the individual student. Students, you have the unique opportunity to decide where you'll spend the next 3 or 4 years and the kinds of awesome things you'll be learning. Really think about what you're interested in and where you'd like to go professionally. Parents, you have the chance to guide your rising 6th or 9th graders in such an important decision. The School Choice Fair is your opportunity to ask questions that will help you all make the best decisions possible. This year looks a little different in the virtual space, but we're committed to answering every question and serving every family to the best of our ability. Thank you for joining us on this journey to help Providence students reach their full potential.
Thank you. Okay, so before we get started again, what I'm going to do is just go through some features for our families and students. Again, for interpretation, our families will be joining us if they need Spanish translation, pressing interpretation, and then selecting Spanish. That is the language that we have interpretation for this morning. For our families and students that are joining us either through their cell phone or tablet, you will see this option more here, and then you'll have a menu to select Spanish. And then at the very bottom, I just wanted to inform everyone, our students and families, if you can press Q&A, that you should see that at the very bottom of your screen. And please write out your question, any question that you might have for any of our panelists, our representatives from each of our middle schools. And so when you do that, if you could, if your question is very specific to a school, please make sure that you write the name of the school first, and then what is your question? And then I'll make sure to direct that question to the school that you want. And then for the next instruction here or feature that you see at the very bottom is raise hand. So if you are interested in not so much writing your question, but you want to ask your question out loud, please raise your hand. And then at some point, we will go ahead and unmute you and call you out so that way you can ask your question live. Okay, if the chat feature shows on your screen, that feature is actually disabled right now. We are not using that feature. So again, only the Q&A and raise your hand. For our panelists, we are asking you to please don't worry about the Q&A. You'll see the questions that are coming up in front of you. In the meantime, just pay attention to what might be a question that comes your way, so that way you're not having to go up and down the screen. I will make sure to look at the questions and ask them of you. And okay, so we're going to try to answer all the questions that might be asked of parents. But I did want to also go through these norms. We have them in English and Spanish. And so again, the presentation will be a webinar format. For our families that may not be aware, the format is pretty much having our principals in front of us. On the screen, you will not be able to see each other as attendees, only the panelists, the interpreter, and myself, the facilitator, and also our Zoom person who's helping us manage the Zoom this morning. The panelists will try to answer as many questions as possible. Please use the Q&A icon or the raise your hand, as I mentioned earlier. If you prefer to ask your question live, you will again select raise hand. Prior to asking your question verbally or in writing, please state the name of your school you're asking your question to. We are working with an interpreter for this session. Thank you in advance for your patience with possible slight delays in some of the content delivery. We want to make sure that all attendees are receiving the information. The microphones of all attendees will be muted unless the attendees raises their hand to ask a question live. And just a reminder, this website here that's in front of you right now, that is the School Choice Fair website. And there you can view the virtual school videos and profiles that we have available for all of you. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we're going to get started with questions. Again, reminding everyone, our students and families that are on the call, please use your question and answer feature. I am going to try my best to go through all the questions. If there are similar questions, I might go ahead and just group the questions and make sure to pose the questions to our schools. So I'm going to get started. We have several questions. Well, so I guess the first thing I think that would be great, if each of our representatives today, if you can just very quickly, 30 seconds, a quick elevator speech, the way we call it sometimes, very quickly, we'll go through all of our schools. If you can just introduce yourself, state your name, whether or not you're a principal or a representative of your school. And then in 30 seconds, just give us a quick overview of your school. Again, don't go too long because we have a lot of questions. So if you can go ahead again and introduce yourself. We'll start, I'm not sure if you see the same order, but we'll start with Mr. Perillo from West Broadway.
Thank you. I'm Richard Perillo, principal of West Broadway Middle School. West Broadway is a very unique school. We are the smallest school in the district, and we are the only school that has 5th grade. We have 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We have after-school programs. We offer sports programs, and we offer a variety of elective classes. And I don't want to go over my 30 seconds, but that's West Broadway.
Okay. And I thank you so much, Mr. Perillo. That was good. I just want to remind everyone, I forgot, I got to remind you that we do have an interpreter, Delia Rodriguez Maswan. She is interpreting everything that you're saying. So if you can say your message as slowly as possible, not too slow, but she'll let us know. So she'll peek out and say, hey, can you just slow down just a little bit? Okay. And thank you, Nicole, for joining us. Okay, so if we look at our screen here, I believe Mr. Riley, we had Mr. Perillo already introduced West Broadway. Ms. Gill from Del Sesto.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Arzinia Gill. I'm the principal at Del Sesto Middle School. Del Sesto Middle School is a middle school where we have 3 smaller learning communities. We have Peak Academy, which is personalizing education for accessing knowledge, which is on the 1st floor. And that's a mix of grade 6, 7, and 8. 2nd floor is STEM Academy, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And then the 3rd floor is STEAM Academy, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. There's an art element there. And when 6th graders come in, they get a choice form, and then they can select the academy. We have multiple after-school programs. We have Saturday school. We have sports teams. We have a great track team, which also participates at the state level. A few years ago, we had the #1 boys 4x400 team at the state level. And we have a great community partnership with multiple community providers, which help with the after-school programs and Saturday school.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gill. Mr. Pasiro from Nathaniel Greene.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Janet.
Yes.
So I'm one of the assistant principals at Greene. Next year will be my 5th year there. We are kind of opposite of West Broadway, and we're one of the larger middle schools in the city. And similar to Del Sesto, we also have attempted to make that larger group feel smaller. We use 9 teams, 3 for each grade level. So our 6th grade teams are all on the 1st floor and the basement, 7th grade are on the 2nd floor, and then 8th grade are up on the 3rd floor. We also have many after-school sports teams. This year, obviously, it's a little bit different, but one of the big ones that I want to point out for us is Beat the Streets Wrestling. I think we have, last year we had about 60 to 70 kids participate in Beat the Streets for us. That's just a great program. We also have after-school tutoring and clubs that are run completely by our teachers in our building.
Thank you so much. Mr. Akiri from Bishop.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Diakiti, principal of Nathan Bishop Middle School. Like most of the other schools, we are grades 6 to 8. We service about 650 kids. We offer sports program. We actually were the champion basketball team last year. We placed in track as well. We have PASA after school, and we will also be adding some new, looking to add some new electives this year as well that our students haven't had access to. Yeah, that's Nathan Bishop in a nutshell.
Thank you. Okay, Raj Williams, Mr. Correa.
Yes, good morning. My name is Mr. Correa. I am the Dean of Students at Raj Williams Middle School. I've been working at Raj Williams for 9 years now, and I'm also a former student of Raj Williams Middle School. We have similar programs to every other school. This year, our focus at Raj Williams is trying to build a great school culture where students totally buy into the education and they feel comfortable and accepted. We're trying to have that family type of feel in a large school setting.
Thank you. Ms. Onya?
Good morning. I'm Nicole Onya. I'm the principal at Gilbert Stewart Middle School. I'm really happy to be here this morning. So Gilbert Stewart Middle School is a unique middle school. It is a large building, a physically large building, a very beautiful building. And we're also one of the largest middle schools as well. And our focus has been to really create opportunities for students to feel very connected and to make the school feel a lot smaller. So we, this year, created teams for all of our students and teachers. There are 3 teams for each grade level, and the 6th grade is housed on the ground floor and first floor intentionally to be closer to all of us, and also to really cocoon them and help them begin to transition their minds around the fact that they're now middle school students. So that has been a huge push for us. And then we have our grade 7 students on the 2nd floor and our 8th graders on the 3rd floor. We spend a lot of time really focusing on making sure that our students are getting a quality education, which means really spending time in classrooms, observing teachers, providing feedback, and also talking to students as well. We think that's really important to really engage students and make sure that they feel empowered and have some agency over what is happening to them educationally. We also spend a lot of time around the social emotional needs of our students, and we have quite a few opportunities for students. We have the athletics, just like all the other middle schools. We compete against each other, but we've also focused on a lot of academic and also cultural programs that will help students feel very connected. So we are starting a boys mentor program. We have a girls mentor program that has already kicked off. We're also focusing a lot on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, to make sure our students get a really solid background and understanding of the opportunities available for them after they finish high school, especially in the STEM areas. We think that's really important when you look at the forecast for jobs. That is where a lot of our jobs will be, and we want to make sure our students know this and have experiences. So we're starting a STEM center. We'll be partnering with URI beginning in March, and we will begin with a small pilot that will grow into a multi-year project. We will have a STEM center at the school to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics for our students. So there's a lot happening in the Gilbert Stewart Middle School, and we want all our parents to know that although the building may seem imposing, we spend a lot of time to make sure that people feel that the school feels much smaller and engaging for our students. That's a huge priority. If they don't feel comfortable, then they can't get at the academics. So that's a real push for us as well.
Okay, thank you so much. And so one of the questions that I think would be helpful for all of our families and students, if you can all answer this question per school, how does your school welcome 6th graders, right? So this is their first year, families are nervous, students are nervous, it's a big school, they already hear this, so they have a lot of hearsay. So again, if you can just share right now, set that expectations for our families, those that are starting for the very first time at middle school. So again, we'll start off with Mr. Perillo.
At West Broadway Middle School, we start with our 5th grade students. So when our students become 6th grade students, there's only a small bunch of them. And we do a virtual tour because of COVID, but usually we have the students come to the school. We show them all of the expectations. We have them walk around. Our teachers will show so that they will have familiar faces within the building. And then for our 5th grade students that do come, they're easily going back to 6th grade. And like the other middle schools said, our 6th grade is housed on our 2nd floor, since our 1st floor is housed for our 5th grade students.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Gill, please.
Hello, everyone. So middle school, making a decision for middle school is pretty important and difficult too, when you have so many great choices on the table. We are looking forward to welcome 6th graders. And even before you make that choice, we want to schedule some time where parents can come actually and see the building. So we will be sending some information out and posting it on our website when people can book appointments and come on tours of the building. We want to ensure that everyone understands that safety is a priority for us, especially during this COVID time, and we take it very seriously. We really want people to come and see our It's a much newer building. We want people to hear about Del Sasto, the students, the student council, PTO, our wonderful parents and families, and we would love to take you on a tour and show what the school looks like. We also have orientation for students. So when students first come to Del Sasto, we have students actually taking other students on tours once they get enrolled into Del Sasto, and also providing parents and families with much, much more information. We welcome our families who are bilingual, and we have interpreters in various different languages. You can always request that support. And also, once your child gets selected or comes to Del Sasto, gets enrolled in Del Sasto, we will be sending out choice forms for the 3 academies so parents can select choices. So we try our best to give as much choice and voice to our students and parents, and we look forward to seeing you all.
Thank you. Mr. Pasito from Nathaniel Greene.
Yes, at Greene in years past, in normal years, we've had our 6th grade orientation that typically happens beginning of August to mid-August. And with that, we would bring in all of our 6th grade students and parents into our auditorium for a small presentation about our school. And then our teachers on each of the 3 6th grade teams would be present to then walk your students to their part of the building and show them things like the classroom and just like hallway expectations, classroom expectations, how the lockers work. That seems to be a big stress point for our 6th graders coming in to figure out how to use the lockers. So that's something that parents have truly appreciated in the past.
Thank you. Mr. Akiti from Bishop.
Pre-COVID, we would have a day where both the 6th graders and their parents would come into the building for half a day. We would have the 6th grade teams as well as some of our current 7th and 8th grade students who would come in and take the students on a tour, let them know where their classes would be, walk them through the hot spots, the cafeteria, the gyms, the bathrooms. Also do a little locker help, because as Mr. Pasito says, that's always the fun time for students. And while the students were on their tours with other students, we would stay behind to answer some of the parent questions that students really don't want to hear. Again, not sure what next year will look like, so we will definitely do something virtually. Again, it's not the same, but we also take time to virtually meet with parents and students and have the opportunity for those 6th grade teachers to be involved. So students, as they walk in, would at least know the faces of their teachers and have some idea of where they will be going when school starts.
Thank you. Mr. Correa from Raj Williams.
So yes, Raj Williams is very similar to Nathan Bishop. Pre-COVID, we did pretty much the same things in regards to orientation for the students and the parents, and then at some point we would separate them and have what we refer to as a transition day for the students, doing lockers, reading schedules and stuff like that. And also, obviously during this time of COVID, we plan on doing a lot of things virtually, maybe having virtual pep rallies, orientations, transitions, and stuff like that. And pretty much just like I mentioned before, it's all about building, this great culture with the 6th graders as well.
Thank you very much. Ms. Nicole from Gilbert Stewart.
Yes, so our plan for this year, first of all, we will definitely be accepting upon appointment if we get calls from parents. We have already set up structures to make sure we can provide tours prior to the end of the school year by appointment. So that's something that we'll be announcing. We'll send it on Twitter. We'll also put it on the website, and then we'll send messages out as much as we can so that we can get enough awareness for that. Because I think that's really important, even though we're in the times we're in, parents who want to see the building physically, especially with students in tow, will be welcome. Once we know who our 6th graders are, we have planned 2 virtual town meetings for our incoming 6th graders, and we will want the students to be there as well. We will have some scheduled for mid-afternoon, and then we'll have others scheduled in the evening, and then we will have one scheduled for Saturday, so we can make sure we provide multiple opportunities to meet our new incoming sixth graders and their parents. In the summer, we'll be holding an orientation for our students. If we're not able to go back in person, we've already made plans to do 2 days of virtual orientation for our incoming sixth graders, where we will have other students also sharing different practices in the school. We will have them, we'll get them to meet their teachers. We will have our teachers already set for the sixth grade team. So they'll be able to meet with the teachers, ask questions, do a couple of activities designed to really build relationships. And then the first day of school, we will meet with all the sixth graders. If we can't meet with them in person, we will meet with them virtually in a town meeting to introduce ourselves, answer questions, and just help them feel comfortable. They will be housed again on the ground floor and first floor. And throughout the year, we have activities planned every month to meet with the sixth graders, also to include them in the planning of those town meetings so that we can make sure we're addressing things that they're really interested in. And then also working with the sixth grade teachers as well and their students as teams to make sure that we're addressing their needs as well. So there'll be an emphasis and an eye on the sixth grade the entire year. I think most of us here are parents, and we know what it's like for our students to start a new school. And so we will do everything we can to make sure that they feel comfortable, and also making sure that we're connected with the parents. That's really important for sixth grade. It's important for all grades, but particularly sixth grade, because a lot of the parents too may be new to middle school, and we want to make sure that they have their questions and answers, answered, and that they feel comfortable sending their children to school.
Okay, thank you. I need to remind some of our families that joined us a little bit later with regard to interpretation. So just give me a minute for our panelists. Para los padres que entraron a la reunión un poquito más tarde, si necesita traducción a español, por favor mire hacia abajo de su pantalla. Ahí va a ver un globo que dice interpretación, o va a ver la palabra more, M-O-R-E. Por favor, presione ese botón, le va a dar un menú que le dará el idioma en español. Después, cuando mira la palabra español, puede presionar español y ya va a escuchar la persona que está traduciendo para esta reunión de esta mañana que es completamente en inglés. La señora Delia Rodríguez Masjuan es quien está traduciendo. Por favor, presione hacia abajo de su pantalla. Gracias. Okay, for the next question, if all of you can share with us what might be some extracurricular activities that is offered at your school that make your school special, and including any after-school programs that you may have available as well. We can start with Nathaniel Greene, please. We'll just change the order a little bit. Go ahead, Mr.
Throw me for a loop, Janet.
I'm sorry.
I'm teasing. So after school activities, Mondays and Wednesdays, we have tutoring by content area. So if your child needs, let's say, math tutoring, they'd go to a specific teacher on a Monday or a Wednesday, and they'd have their math tutoring. Same with science, English, and social studies. On the opposite days, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have some after school clubs that are all run by our teachers. Things like newspaper club. We have a club involving coding and robotics. We have a gaming club where a teacher is teaching our kids how to play Dungeons and Dragons virtually, which is pretty interesting. We've had chess club in the past, performing arts, drama clubs. On top of all of our usual sports that happen, just like all the other middle schools, our track and field, our basketball, soccer, wrestling. Our wrestling club goes all year long. Right now it's happening virtually, which is pretty interesting.
Great, thank you. Ms. Gill from Del Sesto Middle School.
Hi, so we do have multiple partnerships, and we have, as I had mentioned, the 3 academies as well. So each academy has its unique focus. We have a community garden where STEM Academy specifically participates, and they are the ones who are mainly in charge, but anyone can participate. We had a partnership with URI Community Extension where we would have a master gardener work with our teachers. So there is an outdoor classroom in our community garden, and students can participate in in that program during school hours if the teachers sign up, or after school. We have robotics, we have coding, computer science. We also are a national turnaround art school. So we have partnership with the Kennedy Center and also have an artist who works with us. Our students participate in musicals every year, except for, unfortunately, when COVID hit, we just could not. We were supposed to have Madagascar, but we have had Disney's Aladdin, and we've also had Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So we have multiple opportunities after school. We have partnership with Beat the Streets as well. And a great partnership we have right now is Squash Busters. We have partnered with them for the last 4 years now. And this partnership is very unique because once you get selected with this organization, they are with you until you graduate from high school. So even if you're Del Sesto, then you go to other various high schools, this organization stays with you. They pick up your child twice a week for 2 hours from Del Sesto, and they go to Moses Brown. There's a beautiful squash facility there. They play the game of squash. They learn from all these professional coaches from all over the world who volunteer their time. And they also have opportunities to travel all over the country nationally and participate and play different games. They get to see all these Ivy League schools, and the organization also helps our students to see all these big programs in other colleges, and through the game of squash, they try to get them all these scholarships, and you don't have to pay anything for this. We also have a wonderful basketball track team. Our track team also participates not just at the city level, but they also participate at the state level. Again, things are different right now with COVID, but we take a lot of pride, especially with our state track team. And we have been #1 team in different track and field categories. So that is another thing. After school programs, we've had 2 hours after school tutorials, Monday through Thursday. And that is not just for struggling students, it's for all students who want to sign up. So for example, if a student has a C and wants to bring it up to an A, they can come to the after school program and they can participate. We also have Saturday school where it's for 3 hours, 9 to 12. We have a Saturday school right now taking place for students who need any kind of support. We also have great support for all students when it comes to student council. Our parents are volunteers in the school, and they also participate in providing us feedback and coming up with ideas.
Great, thank you. Just a reminder again to our principals, if you can just speak a little slower, just because Delia Rodriguez Maswan is helping with the translation. Thank you. Ms. Onya from Gilbert Stewart.
So at Gilbert Stewart, we also have a variety of sports teams. We've already put in the budget next year for our basketball teams for boys and girls and soccer. And we also have quite a few after-school programs, and all of the after-school programs are led by our teachers, which is, I think, also a very unique opportunity for our students to really connect with their teachers in a different way. We're very committed to providing after-school support for students even now. And so we just completed our Saturday school. We're now starting an in-class tutorial with Inspiring Minds. We're partnered with them, and we'll begin that next week. And students will actually be able to get help on the days, particularly when they're off. So the in-person days, when they're with their teachers, they have the support of their teachers. But when they're off, we know we've been really very concerned about how much support they need on the days they're off. So we're going to be starting that in-school tutorial next week, and students will have a volunteer from Inspiring Minds who will be able to work with them and give them extra support and help, and even work with them on the days they're in person virtually as well. We also have a partnership with Breakthrough Providence. One of the things we're focusing on is not just our students who are struggling, but we have a lot of students who want to excel. And so we have partnered with Breakthrough Providence, and it's an enrichment program that they can actually be in the entire time they're in middle school and beyond. They can actually end up as teachers of this program. And we'll be starting that in the summer for students who apply and want to have some more enrichment opportunities. And again, we have the partnership with URI that we have just begun. That's going to be a multi-year project. It's going to result in a STEM center at Gilbert Stewart Middle School. And we're particularly stressing this for all of our students, whether they're MLLs, regular education, special education, et cetera. Every student can really have access to this. And we're really pushing the STEM areas for our students so that when they're actually in high school, they have a really strong foundation. And that's part of this career exploration piece that we're really pushing. We want kids to start thinking about what they want to do with their lives once they finish high school. And starting to think about that in high school is too late. So we want them to start thinking about the things that interest them, the skills that they want to build, the skills they have already now that they're not even realizing are actually marketable skills, including having a second language. And so that's particularly important for us. And we're partnering with several organizations. We're using Naviance in our advisory program to really push this idea of career exploration. And then we have two really strong CTE programs, career and technical education programs, that give students more opportunities to dive deeply into technology and understand how to use technology to not only help support themselves as learners, but how to use technology to explore other career options. We also have a mentor program that we've already started for our young ladies. It's a virtual program. However, they do meet with their mentor once a month in a group. They're very well spaced out and very safe. And the girls look forward to this program. They're doing a great job there. We're started one with for our boys as well that starts in February with Phi Beta Sigma. They partnered with us to begin a mentor program for our young men to help support them as well. So there's a lot of focus on helping them find ways to have fun and explore their skills through sports and music education. We're a turnaround arts school as well, but also giving them opportunities to explore their skills and to develop their skills in other ways that will help them in the future.
Thank you. And Ms. Yakiri from Bishop?
Just like many of the other schools, we offer after-school sports programs for both girls and boys. They include basketball, indoor and outdoor track, as well as soccer. We also have PASA After School, which offers different after-school programs. Although we are not technically labeled as a turnaround art school, there has been a play that has historically taken place at the school over the last few years. And this year we're looking to offer some more after-school opportunities, including possibly robotics and coding and things of that nature that to expose our students to STEM as well. So those are some of the things that we're working on within the school.
Thank you. Mr. Correa from Raj Williams?
Yes, at Raj Williams, we do have a partnership with AfterZone, which we have a series of after-school programs, which are based on students' interests. Also, we have various sports teams, as other middle schools have mentioned already. However, last year we did not have a wrestling team, but we did have a very successful chess club. We also are considered a turnaround art school, and we have had several plays in the past, but obviously during COVID, that has been put to a halt. We also have started a Roaring News show, which is like a television program. We're getting more students who are very interested in that. So they are, doing things such as doing small segments, interviewing people. And once we get out of this, this pandemic, the plan is for them to start doing some video editing as well. We also do have a media arts program where we have state-of-the-art technology. Students are learning a lot about the multimedia arts.
Okay, thank you. And from West Broadway? I'm not sure who wants to answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead on this one. Thanks, Janet.
Yeah.
So just like the other schools, we offer lots of sports to our students, from track to basketball to soccer, wrestling. It's definitely a big point of pride in our school. You'll see kids walking around with all their sweatshirts. They won the Girls City basketball championship last year, as well as wrestling, and that was a huge deal. We offer after-school tutorial, which has been really great for our students, especially during a year like this, to be able to catch up on work and really have that extra face time with their teachers, even though it's virtual. We do have a robotics coding program where students are able to stay after school and really work through that to kind of develop the fundamentals of it. As well as it's really important in our school to get student voice and leadership. So we do have a student council that really helps guide our school's decision-making using the student's voice, as well as the city's only National Junior Honor Society, where we introduce that component of community service to students and really set them on the track to join the National Honor Society in high school.
Okay, great. Thank you. We have a question. It's a specific question regarding the choice process. And so I'm going to ask Janae. Janae, if you see Cheryl McCray on the call, if you can just unmute her. So the question is, good morning all. My question is about first choice. Are they, in this case, the school district, is the school district going to assign children or my child for the first choice, or how did Providence School Department assign students, or how do we assign students? So Cheryl, if you can help us or help our families understand that process.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So when the choices are received, they are due by February 12th. We will take them all and gather everyone's choices, and then it's run as a lottery. So your first choice will be decided in the first round. If there are more selections for a school than we have seats, then you may be placed on the waiting list. And in that case, it would then look at your second choice and so forth, your third and your fourth. So we do not guarantee first choice. So I just want to, make you aware of that. Another thing I just wanted to add is all choice forms, if your student is in person, were handed out at school this week. So you should look for those. If your student is in the Virtual Learning Academy, the forms were mailed home. So if they were mailed home, you will be returning them to the registration center. You should have an envelope in there. If your child's in person, you should be returning them to school. If you need an extra form, they're online on our website, or we can get that one to you if you contact registration or the family engagement office or your school.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Okay, so we'll move on. We have another question. Specifically for our families that have students with IEPs or with a 504 plan, if it's possible, if you can just share with us, how does the school support? What does that look like? What is a typical day for our students that may have a 504 plan or an IEP? And so we'll start off with Nathan Bishop. Ms. Diakiti, if you can just start us off.
For students with IEPs, it really is dependent on which program they're in. We have several different programs at the school. So whether they would be in one of the behavior programs or a program where they're in one room every day, again, it's dependent on their IEP. Most of our students have what is called more of a push-in model. So they're in regular education classrooms and the special educator is in that room to support their needs. And again, with the 504, it's really dependent on the accommodations that are written in the 504 as they are different for each student depending on what their needs are. So obviously our goal is to have every student integrated into the school and not have anyone feel separated. And that's what we work to create an environment of inclusion regardless of what's on the IEP or the 504.
Okay, great, thank you. And I just want to make sure if everyone can just include whether or not your school does have a BIP classroom setting, okay? And again, if we could just stay away from acronyms, so I just mentioned the BIP, but if you can just make sure that just spell out or mention full names of programs. Raj Williams. Mr. Correa.
Yes, Raj Williams does have, again, several different levels of special education. We do have the BIP program, which stands for Behavioral Intervention Program. We have a hybrid model and as well as an inclusion model. and that is all based on the recommendations of the child's IEP. We have a very strong special education department with a very strong teacher leader. So she is definitely reaching out to all the families and making sure that we are up to par with meeting every student's needs who has an IEP. In regards to the 504, we do have a 504 coordinator who is, constantly in meetings, constantly writing the child's 504. The incoming sixth graders, we actually look at the elementary school's 504 and speak to them and stay in communication to see if there's anything else that we can add or get any input. And we are constantly in touch with the parent and making sure that all teachers are on board and understand that students' accommodations on the 504.
Thank you. Someone from West Broadway.
Okay, I'm gonna grab this one. West Broadway Middle School does not have a BIP program. We do offer a hybrid program and an inclusion program. And what we do is we do follow the students' IEPs, and in the IEPs, it's individualized for each and every student. There are goals in there that we make sure that they meet, and we provide service hours depending on those goals. There is a day on a Thursday during the week where it's called Team Day, and all IEP reviews are done on that day, and anything that needs to be done or accommodations to the IEPs are done on Thursdays. As far as 504s, we do have a 504 coordinator. It's our guidance counselor, and she's constantly working on the 504s, updating them to provide the accommodations so that every student gets an equitable education in our building.
Thank you so much. Stuart, Ms. Napoli, Onya.
So, yeah, so very similar to a West Broadway, we have a hybrid program and an inclusion program. The inclusion program, the students are placed just as any other student in all their classes. And
Excuse me, Ms. Onya, excuse me, I'm sorry. So as you respond to the question, if you could just explain right now what the 504 plan is, because that was part of the question, just for some of our families that might be on the call that did not know or understand what is a 504 plan. Thank you.
Sure. Can I complete my?
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's okay. So with the inclusion model, the special educator actually goes into the classroom and actually supports the student in class, plans with the teacher of record, and sometimes actually and co-teaches as well to make sure that the student gets the support he or she needs. And at Gilbert Stewart, what's really great is that the teachers actually don't single the students out. They actually work with all students, but pay specific attention, of course, to the student with the IEP. And we make sure that we follow that IEP. Just as Broadway, we have the team meetings on Fridays, and we want to ensure that those IEP goals are being met. So that's really important. The hybrid model, those students in the hybrid model are in small classes for 1 or 2 content areas based on their IEP. So they're in a small class with the teacher, and then they go out into the other classes, and the teachers follow them and provide support that way. We have a 504 coordinator, and that is our teacher leader, Mr. Jim Jean-Louis, and he is in charge of making sure that the 504 plan, which is an accommodation that is not an IEP, but it's an accommodation to help support students. 504 plans can be about a lot of different things. It can be academic, they can be social, emotional. He's in charge of making sure not only that they're written properly, but also that they're followed as well. So we make sure that any student that has a 504, all of his or her teachers has a copy of that 504, is aware of the accommodations and modifications that need to happen. We do the same thing with our students with IEPs. All of the teachers who have those students have a copy of the front sheet of the IEP, so they're very well aware of what they should be doing to accommodate or modify instruction for those students. Was that sufficient, Ms. Pichardo?
It was. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Pasito from Nathaniel Greene.
Thank you. I think Ms. Diakite had said it earlier, that the goal is really to foster a sense of inclusivity so that it is not different as best as possible for those students with IEPs or 504s. We do not have a behavior program at Nathaniel Greene. We do have hybrid. A hybrid model is where they are housed in a smaller group, although they go with their group into the regular education classes. We also have an inclusion model. We have a self-contained model that stays with a group of teachers throughout the day, and an exceptional education program as well, where those students have more needs than our self-contained students, and they are also with their one teacher and a number of teacher aides throughout the day. We make sure at the very beginning of the year that all of our teachers have knowledge of the supports that are listed within the IEPs or 504s, and in order to ensure that all of those students receive the support they need and the hours of service that they need as well. On Thursdays is our team day, where our special ed team meets with parents. That happens every Thursday, and our special education teacher leader makes sure that all of the meetings are scheduled in a timely fashion and parents are notified for these meetings.
Thank you. Ms. Gill from Del Sesto.
Thank you, Janet. So I will answer this a little bit differently in 3 parts, maybe. At Del Sesto Middle School, we value every single student we have, and our guidance counselors and support staff work very closely to identify what the struggles are and what supports are needed for our students. So the first team is with all the support staffs that meet every week is called MTSS, which stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. And that team meets, and anyone can refer any student who's showing any kind of struggle for any academic or social emotional support. And then that team has somebody assigned to that student who works with the family and the student to identify what those needs are. From that, I can also talk to you about, there are different referrals. It could go into an IEP, 504, whatever supports are needed. A 504 plan is a plan where there are accommodations put in place, and those are communicated with the school community and the teachers who interact with students to ensure that the students are successful in their day-to-day learning and day-to-day functioning. When students come from elementary school, we make sure that their 504 plans are reviewed, because what we realize is that what plan worked for elementary school when the students are in one classroom all day and the structure and systems are slightly different, we need to meet with the parents and families and then identify what changes need to be made to the 504 plan to meet the needs of all learners when it comes to those accommodations. When it comes to the IEPs, we also try to review what IEPs exist when students come from elementary school, and we, on an ongoing basis, try to monitor our students. And again, at the end of the day, we want all our students to be successful. So plan is, the whole goal of the plan is to ensure that the students are successful. And the plan itself, if it's not working, we have a conversation and meetings with parents and families and students as well, because we believe that they have a voice at the table and should have a voice at the table. And we have those conversations, and then the plans are developed to support them. We do not have a behavior intervention program, which folks have been talking about, the BIP program. Other schools do. We do have a program where we support our students with severe intellectual and physical disabilities. So it ranges from the students who need the most support. We have a fabulous team of childcare workers, teacher assistants, and teachers who offer them support. Then we also have an autism program, and I have a fabulous team of staff who support students and families there. And then we have an inclusion program, and we also have a hybrid program. We also believe that our students, not just our staff members, also believe in including every single student in our community. And for that reason, when we talk about sports teams, we talk about our unified sports program as well, where our students who have identified needs are also participating with our other students, and they are a team together supporting each other. And our focus has always been around equity and access. So I just want to make sure that I explain that it's not just the 504 or IEP. We look at every single child, and we work with our parents and families.
Great, thank you very much. What we're going to do now is Janae is going to read off some of the questions from families who raised their hand. So Janae, go right ahead.
So I'm actually going to go ahead and give folks who have their hand raised the opportunity to speak. So Mr. Vicente Sanchez, you can go ahead with your question. Mr. Sanchez, are you there?
El señor Sánchez, la bocina está abierta, si usted puede decir su pregunta.
Oh, sí. La escuela del sexto, yo tengo dos niñas. La una va para sexto grado, la otra va para octavo grado. No sé si fuera posible que ellas pudieran asistir a la del sexto, ya que ambas me han comentado que les gusta la tecnología.
Entonces su niña, usted tiene una niña que va a entrar al sexto grado. Señor Sánchez.
Y una para
Se le está, no se oye muy bien, señor Sánchez.
octavo grado. ¿Sí?
Que no se oye muy bien, si se puede mover o algo.
A ver si me puede escuchar ahora.
Sí, ahora sí. Entonces usted tiene un estudiante en el
Y
octavo.
ahora
Sí, le puedo
va para
escuchar.
octavo.
Ajá.
Ok. Tengo un estudiante que va para octavo grado y una
Sí.
que va para sexto grado.
Ok. Entonces usted quiere saber si la niña o el estudiante que va a entrar al sexto puede ir a la misma escuela de la niña del octavo, que es la escuela intermedia del sexto.
Sí.
Okay. Also, Janae, if you can unmute Cheryl. And so the question is, Dad is asking the question. He actually has an 8th grader who attends Del Sesto Middle School. And so he also now has a entering 6th grader. And so his question is it possible that his new 6th grader can also attend Del Sesto just like their sibling? So Cheryl, if you can answer the question. Y el señor Sánchez, si puede ponerse sus, vamos a decir, su audífono o entrar a la interpretación, la señora Delia Masjuan va a servir como intérprete para darle la respuesta. ¿Está de acuerdo?
Ok.
Gracias. Escuche la respuesta. So I just asked Dad to go back to interpretation, and our interpreter will answer the question in Spanish. Cheryl?
Okay, the answer is yes. If you have a sibling that will be at the same school next year, so a current 6th grade or 7th grader at the school you want to attend, you will be given sibling preference. So you will get your choice ahead of anyone else, so that if you have a sibling that will still be at the school next year, you will be given sibling preference.
And again, that's applicable to any of our middle schools and also any of our schools in the district.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So our next question is going to come from Yuli. I'm probably mispronouncing the name.
La próxima pregunta, alguien que se llama Julie. Julie. ¿Puede
Sí,
decir
buenos días.
Buenos días.
Yo tengo una duda porque yo no he recibido el formulario. Yo todavía no tengo una escuela específica para mi hijo. O sea que no sé para qué escuela él va a ir.
Está bien. Yo le voy a decir a la señora Cheryl McCrae que ella va a responder exactamente cuál fue el proceso de darle la información a nuestros padres que tienen estudiantes en el 5º grado. ¿Ok? Entonces, si usted puede, por favor, puede ir de vuelta a la interpretación y la señora que está traduciendo le va a dar la respuesta en español. ¿Está de acuerdo? Julie, ¿me escuchó? Okay, Cheryl, if you can answer the question, if you can just describe the process in terms of families that have students in 5th grade, how they were supposed to receive the information in terms of the choice form, and then what do they do once they complete that form, because she has not received the information but was aware of this Zoom today.
Okay. Students in 5th grade, if they are in person, they would have received the forms in school this week and brought them home. If your student is in the Virtual Learning Academy, they would have received the forms via mail, which would have been mailed to your home address we have in Skyward. Also, any family in Providence that has a Providence student, regardless if you go to PPSD, would have been given a form to the school they attend. So we've sent them to non-publics as well. If you did not receive a form, you can request one from your school, from registration, from family engagement, or go online to ppsd.org and you'll find the forms there under the choice listing. We have all the forms posted. You can print it and then get it into your school or registration so that we can get those selections. If you are a PPSD student, you can also go on to Skyward in the family access section. So parents log in and it will pop up if you're a 5th grader and it will say, would you like to put in your choices for school choice, and you can enter them online and they will go directly to me.
Okay, thank you so much. And again, for any family that still, by Monday or Tuesday, you still are not sure, do not have access, do not know where to find the form, you are welcome to call us at 456-0686, or you can visit the website, the Providence Schools website, and press Let's Talk. When you open the website, you'll see a tab on the right-hand side of the screen. As soon as you go into the website, you can press Let's Talk, and you can either leave us a message or type in a message that we will receive as a text, and we will make sure to connect you to the information. Okay. All righty. Janae, do you have another person who raised their hand?
Yes, we're going to take one more verbal question. I think Malika Williams. You can go ahead with your question.
Hi, Malika.
Good morning. My question is my child is good.
Malika, the reception, we can't hear you.
Okay. Is this better?
I don't know. Does this sound like, or maybe it's my volume. Can everyone hear?
Okay.
All right, we'll try to see if we can hear your question. Go right ahead.
My question is, can we also, because my child is currently doing the virtual learning, can I also enroll on the Skyward?
Cheryl, is that possible?
Yes, that is still possible. Yes, absolutely. Anyone that has access to Skyward can enter on their choices in Skyward. If you are at a non-public school, you don't have access to Skyward, would not be able to do that. But our VLA families, Virtual Learning Academy families, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So we have now some questions with regard to the advanced academic program, and Cheryl, you might want to stay, please. So if it's possible, Cheryl, if you can just clarify, and then I do have another question for some of our schools that have advanced academic programs. Cheryl, if you can answer this question, how does the choice process work if your student has applied for the advanced program?
If you have applied for the advanced academic program, you should be hearing soon. And then you would need to respond back that you accept that position. In that case, you will not be in the lottery. If you are still, don't wait to not turn in your school choice form, please do that as well. We won't, if you take the advanced academic seat, we will take you out of the lottery, but I would rather you still turn in the choice form in case there's an overlap. So still turn in your school choice form, but if you get into advanced placement and you accept it, we will take you out of the lottery and place you in your advanced academic seat.
Okay, thank you. And for those of our schools, our middle schools, if you can share, we have a question here. Could you describe the difference between the advanced academic programs? It says here in the 3 schools that offer it. So for our schools that offer advanced academic program, please go right ahead, unmute yourself and answer this question, please.
So at Greene, I believe we are the middle school that's had the program for the longest amount of time. The students that are listed as advanced academics are incorporated into the rest of the building just as normal. They do, however, when they have their classes, they are classes that only service other students that are listed as advanced academics as well. The goal is for those teachers to go a little bit deeper into the concepts, whether it's math or English, science, or social studies. One of the perks of advanced academics is that when you get to 8th grade, you typically are taking an algebra class instead of your usual math 8th grade class. So that's something that if your student gets into an advanced academics placement, that is an option for them. So when they start high school, they would be starting right with geometry instead of their algebra.
I would say we are similar to Greene. Advanced academics, although the students travel together, they may have the same classes together. They do travel throughout the building. And the goal is to have them go deeper. We are pushing to have all of our those teachers that will be teaching advanced to go to a professional development that is offered. It may be virtual over the summer, so that we get a greater understanding of the idea of the students being able to go deeper. And again, also our students in 8th grade have the opportunity to take algebra. So again, when they get into high school, they can start off with geometry.
Yes, at Raj Williams Middle School, the advanced academic program is set up where students are pretty much in the same classes. They do travel throughout the school, but it's the same core of students with the exceptions of PE/health and their elective classes. And again, it is more rigorous academic environment for the students to pretty much push them a little bit more. And again, like the other schools that mentioned, they do have that. They will be taking algebra, so in high school they will be ready for geometry in the 9th grade.
Any other school? No? Go right ahead. No? Okay. Cheryl, can you repeat again the process of enrollment for the advanced academic program? Just because we might have had a parent or two that just came into the Zoom and heard the end of what you explained. So if you can just explain that a little bit, please, as quickly as you can.
Sure. If you have applied to advanced academics, that office should be sending out acceptances soon. And once you receive that acceptance, you will need to respond to it and accept that spot. Once you do that, you will be placed into that school for next year. Please continue to fill out your school choice form in case you don't receive that in time, so that you don't not get another choice if you do not get into that school that you would like to. So the advanced academics you should receive soon. Respond to it to accept if you would like that seat, and you will be placed there. Continue to fill out your school choice form in case you do not get the seat you want, so that you are in the lottery if you do not get the seat you want. If you fill out the lottery form and you do get into advanced academics, you will not be in the lottery and we will not change your school. That makes sense?
Yes. Cheryl, just one last question. I know that the applications went out back in December. So a question was, will there be another chance that folks who might be interested are able to apply for the advanced academic program, or no, they have to wait till next year?
I would contact that office. I don't know of the exact numbers that applied into the programs this year. If there's space, then you probably can get into a program. So it just depends on if there is a wait list after they have done these acceptances or if there's room. So I would reach out to Mr. Cox in Advanced Academics.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have a couple more verbal questions, and then after this, Janet, there are some questions in Spanish in the question and answer section. And I may be pronouncing the name incorrectly, but Vanille Ramsdale, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, you pronounced it right. So I have a child right now that goes to Bailey in a BIP classroom, and he didn't receive a form. And I know it sounded like only 2 of the middle schools have a BIP classroom, which would be Nathan Bishop and Raj Williams. And Nathaniel sounds like they have a self-contained. But what it sounds like from the school choice form is that they have 4 choices. So I'm not really sure on how that would work. Like if BIP class kids actually have a choice on what school they go to or which BIP classroom they choose. And if they don't get that, where do they place them next?
Thank you, Ms. Ramsdale. Cheryl, are you able to answer that question?
Yeah, so it depends on what your IEP specifically states. I would put on the choice form the choices in order as to what you prefer. You could reach out to the special education office if you have specific questions on what program, but if your child is in a self-contained setting, I'm not sure about the BIP programs as special ed office will review your choices and look at what programs fit for your IEP. So if you have any questions on that, I strongly suggest you reach out to special ed first to find out which schools offer the needs of your child and where would fit best.
Okay, thank you. We have a question here, a general question now for our schools. It's in Spanish and then I'll translate it. Me interesa mucho para mi hija lo que es salud y tecnología. Aún no hemos elegido cuál es más conveniente. So this parent is basically saying she's interested for her daughter. Her daughter is very interested with regard to health and wellness and technology. Still not sure in terms of where she wants to concentrate on. But if, for the most part, if our schools can share with us, information regarding technology, how it's used in your schools at this time. So we can start with West Broadway, please.
The health and wellness at our school, we have our school nurse that leads the initiative to have healthy foods and making sure that all food during the day is healthy. The Sudoku makes sure that we have the balanced meals. We don't have a full cafeteria at our school, but all of the food that is brought in follows the menu online. We do have advisory where she would be able to learn more career and pathways through Naviance about the health and wellness careers that she could go further in her future with.
Thank you. Bishop, Nathan Bishop, Ms. Yakiti.
We don't have a particular pathway or anything for health and wellness, but it's something that is focused on obviously through the phys ed department and the meals that are offered. As far as technology, one of the things with COVID is, everyone in the building is one-to-one. We've also had an upgrade of many of the programs that teachers use, as well as the technology that's in the building. So we are trying to incorporate technology, not just in a particular pathway, but in every classroom in the building.
Thank you. Raj Williams, Mr. Correa.
Yes, we are the same as Nathan Bishop in regards to, we don't have a specific pathway for for health and fitness, health and wellness. However, we do have a great phys ed department who will be willing to, to give that student some other ideas and other resources that they can utilize. In regards to technology, we are adapting to this, to this new way of living. We are incorporating a lot of different different types of technology in just everyday, learning. Like I mentioned before, we do have the Roaring News Show, which is taking off this year. We also have the I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, we also have the Media Arts program, which is more, towards the art part of it. But we do have some technology-based stuff there as well.
Thank you. Gilbert Stewart. Ms. Sonia?
Yeah, we were very blessed. Last year, we applied for a $100,000 grant and were granted a brand new fitness room. It's state of the art, and it is incorporated as part of our phys ed program. However, it's also open to students even after school and before school, and teachers. And pre-COVID, we had it open for teachers and students before and after school, and to really encourage everyone to stay fit. And we hope when we open the school back up again that we'll be able to do that. But the idea of health and fitness is something that we want everyone to be cognizant of at all times. We don't have a specific pathway, but it's something that we promote through our phys ed classes. Also, we recently had a brand new, we decided we wanted to have a little bit of better structure with our lunch program. And so we were able to get a really amazing new supervisor for our lunch program, breakfast and lunch program. And that's working out really well. We work very closely with her to make sure that the menus are nutritious, but also appealing to students. So we get a lot of student input and work with her to make sure that they're healthy, well-balanced, but also appealing to students. We also have breakfast in the classroom, which is really helpful. So students, when they come into school, don't have to go into a large cafeteria setting. They're able to get their breakfast right when they walk into the classroom immediately. Also through Naviance, through the advisory tool that we use for advisory, there's a lot of opportunities there for students to do more exploration and kind of go in the areas that they're very interested in. We have as I said earlier, we are starting a STEM program at Gilbert Stewart Middle School with URI, focused specifically on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But some of that engineering is also bioengineering. And so students who are really interested in food and food engineering, they will have an opportunity to delve more deeply into that as we continue to build that URI program. And the goal is to get the students on the URI campus. As you know, they have an extensive gardening and food and nutrition program at URI. And so many of our students who are interested will have the opportunity to participate in that way with the STEM program.
Thank you. Nathaniel Greene, please. Mr. Pacito.
Thanks. So in terms of health and wellness, physical health and wellness, that is our phys ed department. In a normal year, we usually have one teacher that's strictly dedicated to health. She's actually run a healthy cooking club in the past, which has had a pretty good turnout in terms of participation. I do want to shout out our guidance department in terms of social emotional health and wellness. They really do a lot of work, in a normal year, pulling small groups and getting to know the kids, and they really make it a place where kids feel comfortable to go to them and let them know if they're struggling social emotionally, and we can help get the supports that they need in place. In terms of the technology, we are one-to-one at like most of our schools. I think we tend to, if the learning is happening in person, we tend to try to minimize the screen time as much as possible, unless the technology is really being used to transform the learning. Our students are on screens a lot, and sometimes the screens are being used as a replacement for a handout, something that they can be doing off screen. So it's really important that they have that kind of live communication with each other. We also have we applied for a couple of years back a grant, $100,000 grant. We were awarded it for a computer science program, which we started this year. Next year, we are currently scheduled to ramp up the amount of participants in that program, and that program focuses a lot on coding and robotics. So we're looking forward to what we can actually accomplish with that.
Ms. Gill, to Mr. from Del Sesto Middle School.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you for the question to the parent who asked about around health and wellness. At Del Sesto Middle School, we really believe that our students should start thinking about careers in middle school. And for that reason, we started a new elective around 4 years ago, which is called Career Exploration, and where there actually is a guidance counselor who works with those students during those specials or electives, and they speak about different careers. We also have a career fair where we bring people from the industry and trade who can talk about how they got into the field, and we bring in guest speakers to speak with students. As I had mentioned that we also have a community garden where we talk to students about, we're living in the city, how do you grow your own food, and about nutrition, and of course through the lens of science as well. And our teachers often take the students out. We focus a lot on health and wellness. We are also starting a student group will start a podcast where they will do a lot of research, and then they will create their own podcast, and it's student council, and anyone who's interested can participate in this, and they will be speaking and researching on different topics. We also have a strong partnership with NAU, who provide services to our students. They are outside counseling agency, which provides information around health and wellness and any kind of support for our parents and families. We can refer a student there, and that also includes family counseling. The interesting thing is, even if a family does not have insurance, they have grants and they support all the families. They're a great resource when it comes to speaking more about health and wellness as well. We also have Skills USA, which runs through a career exploration program. And then through that as well, there are classes after school where students are able to learn more about different careers and colleges. One more thing I forgot to mention, I'm principal at Del Sesto, but I'm also a Del Sesto parent. My older daughter is a senior in one of the Providence high schools, and she came to Del Sesto. My younger one is an 8th grader right now, and she's looking at high schools. My older one is looking at nursing schools right now, and that's where she's applying. But the whole journey started from middle school, where she was able to explore different careers, and she wants to go into healthcare. So we have multiple opportunities, not just in one topic and area, but we really want to hear what our students have to say, what their interests are, and then bring the industry people and information to our students to make the best decision for high school. And we also have most of our, we probably have the highest number of our students from Del Sesto going to various CTE programs in the other high schools.
Thank you. We are at the end of our call, but we have one more question we would like for you to answer, and it's a two-part question, a little separate, but just want to merge these two questions before we end our call today. So if you can provide us information regarding supports for our multilingual learners, and also how you are engaging families right now at your school. Some families have said that they are, they like to get involved, but they want to understand how your school engages families to get more involved with the academics, but also to support your school. Okay, so if we can start off with Nathaniel Greene.
Sure, thank you, great question. So we have an MLL, multi-language learner coach in our building that supports all of the teachers that are supporting those students. We have English language development classes that are scheduled by the level of language proficiency the student is. So every student that is considered a level 1 is together, a level 2, a level 3. We follow a curriculum throughout those 3 ELD levels that is similar and that is developed to increase language proficiency in those students. The second part of that question was around parent engagement. We utilize a few different options for that. We utilize Kinvo, which is the text message or emails that go out to all of you. We also utilize Class Dojo at our school, and we send messages through that platform as well. We have a weekly newsletter that goes out to parents from the SMORE website that gets a lot of views from our parents. And we send out a parent link as well. In a normal year, we have parent cafes in the mornings where parents would come in and we'd hear from the parents, and then we'd actually go on walks through the building to look at different classrooms and get feedback from the parents. That was always very helpful. Hopefully we can get back to that next year.
Thank you. Ms. Gill from Del Sesto.
So we have, again, different levels for English language development support. We have several multilingual learners at our school, and the supports are during school hours, of course, the way the scheduling should be working, the way the supports they should be getting. And then we also have after school support. I know a parent asked, like, what does the after school look like right now? We have virtual at this time. And we are running a Saturday school right now from 9 to 12 for our multilingual learners right at this time. When it comes to parents and families, we always want to hear from them. We have main office staff. As soon as you walk in, you will, if you are a Spanish speaker, we have people who will greet you at the front desk, and they will be able to assist you. They speak Spanish. There are multiple staff members also in the community who are Spanish speakers. We want to make sure that we hear from our parents and families. If it's not someone who's a Spanish speaker and speaks, let's say, Arabic or another language, we have resources available to communicate with our parents and family in various different languages as well. We send out, like everyone else, we do have Parent Link, we have Kinvo, which is a two-way communication. Additionally, we will make a lot of phone calls and just try to stay in touch with you just to see if we are meeting all your child's needs and your needs when your child is at Del Sesto.
Thank you very much, Gilbert Stewart. Ms. Sonia?
Sure, I'll start with the parent engagement first. So we, even though we have been in the midst of a pandemic, we have been holding our parent meetings regularly every month. And the themes are very much based on the feedback we get from parents and students about what's really important to them. The January meeting was about our targeted team and how we support social and emotional, support students socially and emotionally. Team is really important because it's a referral process in which teachers can refer, but also if you go to our website, students and parents can actually refer students as well through our website, through Let's Talk. So when we get that referral, we act upon it, we reach out to the parent and we set up a meeting. And now the meetings are virtual. Unless the parent insists on coming in person, we do accommodate those requests. And we really talk about the student, the data that we're looking at, attendance, grades, et cetera. We give the student an opportunity to speak, but we really want to also hear from the parent on how we can best support their student. So we have these other tools as well. We have Kinvo, we have Parent Link, where we reach out to masses of parents. But what we have found is it's really important to have an open door policy where parents can feel comfortable coming in either by appointment if they choose, or just showing up and asking for support. We have Spanish speaking personnel in every one of our offices, so parents should never feel in any way intimidated by coming into the school. And just as Arzinia said, even if the parent is not Spanish speaking and speaks another language, it doesn't make any difference. We find a way to accommodate parents. We want parents to be as involved as possible, but we also recognize that that involvement will look different for every family. For some parents, they're able to come to our parent meetings every month. It works for them. The timing works for them. And for some of our parents, it's a little bit different. Sometimes we meet with parents by phone on Saturdays and on evenings. All the parents at Gilbert Stewart have my personal cell phone number. They use it. I get text messages all the time from parents. Try to get back to them within 24 hours or less to make sure we're meeting their needs. And I do that because I know that sometimes as a parent, you have a question, and a lot of times the questions are not during the school day. Sometimes they happen in the evening, sometimes they happen in the early. And the more that we can do to accommodate those questions, the better. So that's why I don't have a Google phone number. I just give out my personal cell. No one has ever abused it, and I find that it works really well. So that's really important. The other thing too is we invite parents to come into the school to really help us with focus groups around different issues that are happening students. And one of my goals for next year is to have an actual parent room and to be able to have a parent who can be in the school at least 3 times a week to act as a liaison between parents and the school, to engage more parents, to invite more parents in, and so we can hear from them. So I'm hoping to make that happen next year. In the meantime, like I said, we do have those parent meetings that happen every month, and we encourage parents to please come to those meetings along with their students. We want it to be a family integration. We also have monthly town meetings. We've been holding those virtually with our students. A lot of parents have been logging into those town meetings because they can do that wherever they are. So some of our parents have been at work, taking a break to come into the town meetings and participate, ask questions. We had an honor roll ceremony virtually a few weeks ago, and we had quite a few parents that came on to cheer their students on, even though they were at home. So we make multiple attempts to make sure that our parents know they are welcome. In terms of our MLLs, I'm sure that many of you have already heard that a dual language program will be opening at Gilbert Stewart next year. It'll be the first and only, it'll be the only dual language program for middle school. That's going to be starting in the fall, and we're really excited about that. The teachers in that program will have special training, and the students will have an opportunity who are in our dual language programs in our elementary school now to continue that learning in middle school. That's really important because those students, I think, personally, if you look at the long range vision, when they get to high school and graduate, I'm betting that they'll be able to get that seal of biliteracy, which is something that a lot of our families don't know about, but it's an opportunity for students to get a special seal that says that they are literate, they are proficient in more than one language. And this is an extremely marketable skill. There are a lot of jobs that hire individuals who are bilingual right after high school and pay them quite a bit of money and give them a lot of training simply because they speak another language proficiently. So that's an opportunity, I think, for our multilingual learners to excel. If you look at the research around dual language programs around the country, language programs tend to do much better than their peers academically, social, emotionally. So we're really excited to have that start. In the meantime, we have a newcomer program for recent arrivals, students who are recent to the country, have not had a lot of schooling. We actually have just 2 teachers who teach those students for most of the day, and then they go off into their electives. They get 2 electives during the year, but they have 2 teachers that they are with for the entire time. And this helps them to acclimate to what it means to be in America, what it means to be in a school, how to interact with teachers and their peers. We also have other programs as well, English language learner, we call it an ESL program. We have different levels. Some students who may need an extensive program, 2 hours in an ESL class, English as a second language class. And then we try to really push those students to really improve their English so that they can go into non-ESL classes very quickly. The message we give to students at Gilbert Stewart Middle School is we don't want them to lose the language of origin that they have. We want them to keep that language and improve their proficiency in their native language. We want them to learn English well as well. And having those 2 in hand, we know will help them to be successful moving forward. So the middle school, as has already been said, must be looked upon as the beginning of that career choice that happens. We don't want that to start happening in their 9th and 10th grade. We want that to happen at the middle school level. So it's really important that wherever students are, whether they're multilingual learners, special education students, regular education students, it doesn't make a difference. The push is to meet students where they are, to give them the things that they need to be successful, and to help with support, to help them to begin thinking really critically about what they bring to the table and what they may want to do with the skills that they have. and to help them understand that they have skills. So many of our students who are Spanish speaking, they can write and read and hear Spanish very well. We want them to understand that that's a tremendous tool and skill for them that they can actually really move on. But also all of our students have gifts and skills that they don't even think about. And we want them to really begin to realize that many of the skills that they have can actually be something that will help them in the future and can actually be beneficial for them as they start to think about their career choices.
Thank you very much. Again, we are very late right now, but we have 3 more schools. If you can briefly again respond to this question. Raj Williams, Mr. Correa.
Yes, our MLL program is run by the coordinator of MLL. She's doing a great job of pretty much trying to educate all of the educators in the building about how to best serve those MLL students. In regards to, I'm sorry, it slipped my mind what the other question was. Repeat that, please.
Sure. How your school supports our multilingual learners and how your school also engages families in general.
Yes, so we currently have a PTO now that meets once a month. Obviously, like the schools just stated, we utilize Kenvo. We're constantly communicating with parents. In the past, before COVID, we had a open door policy. We want parents to definitely be involved in their students' learning.
Thank you. Ms. Yakiri, Nathan Bishop.
Yes, similar to all of the other schools, we have an MLL coordinator. I was able to hire her last year. The great thing about her is she is a native Spanish speaker. So that's been very helpful in her being able to connect with families and to make sure that we're supporting families, our MLL learners, and really able to get families involved that have normally not felt the connection at school. And we do a lot of work with our PTO to make sure that we're connecting with families, doing Zoom meetings. Next week, we have 3 set up at 3 different times so that we can try to catch parents at the time that's most convenient for them. Obviously, when it's not COVID, we have opportunities to have parents more in the building. So hopefully we'll be able to get back to that.
Thank you very much. And finally, West Broadway. I'm not sure who, yes.
Yeah, so again, with our MLL students, we have a wonderful coordinator, Ms. Pellet. She works a lot with our teachers, providing professional development and coaching, really focusing around how can we differentiate the learning for students and really make sure that our students have access to our high quality curriculum. In terms of communication, definitely one of the things for our MLL students and families that we use a lot is Line Bridge. So that's the interpreting service by the district. And that way we're able to communicate everything, make sure that we're understanding what parents' needs are and getting to the bottom of any issues or any supports that they need. In addition to that, our teachers are constantly emailing parents via Skyward, sending out Kinvo messages. And we do send out a weekly update each week that, you know, it has lots of the pertinent information that really helps family know, hey, this is what my kiddo's gonna be doing this week. Here's some things that I can ask them about at the dinner table.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're ending our call. We have, just if someone can volunteer to answer this question, we have a parent who wants to know the difference between hybrid and an inclusion program. Just briefly, if you can just answer that question.
I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do that. So in inclusion, in students who are in inclusion programs, they're scheduled into all the classes like any other student, and the teachers who will support them come to them and help them. So in those inclusion classes, there's a regular teacher teaching, but then there's a special educator in the room supporting those students in the classroom who have IEPs. That's an inclusion model. In a hybrid model, and I'm basing this on what's happening at Gilbert Stewart, but I think that's the way it is in most of our schools. In a hybrid model, students are actually in smaller classes for certain content. So for ELA and mathematics, for English and mathematics, for example, they'll be in a classroom by themselves, usually 10 students or 12, and they have someone teaching them math and English, And that's because those are the subjects that students tend to struggle the most with. So their classrooms are very small, the numbers are very small, and they're with those teachers for 2 periods. And then those students go to the other classrooms and the teacher follows them and supports them in the other classes. So for social studies, they'll go out to a social studies room and the special educator is in the room with them. And for science, that will happen as well. But for English and math, they will be just with one teacher in a small group, in a small setting for 2 periods.
Okay, thank you so much.
My colleagues want to add anything if I missed,
You're all good? Just thumbs up if you're all good with what Nicole mentioned. Thank you so much. We are going to end because we have gone over. Just wanted to make, just to answer 2 questions with regard to advanced academic courses and applying for it. If possible, for families, I have asked additional questions regarding placement when you will hear. Please call Ernest Cox. His phone number is 456-9100, extension 11475. Again, it's Ernest Cox, 456-9100, extension 11475. Also, a very important question someone asked with regard to a response in terms of placement for middle school. When will families hear? For our families that are in VLA, you will hear by March 3rd. And also by mail, our in-person students should hear again between March 3rd and March 8th. Okay, so just be on the lookout for that notification for all of you. Okay, so thank you so much to everyone on the call, all our representatives, our leaders of our schools. Thank you so much. It has been a very different year for all of us. I know that for our families and students that are on the call today, what is happening in the world today, it's already hard and challenging. And now with this process of having to transition your child from elementary school to middle school, that too is another reason for getting nervous about everything that's happening. And so just know that every single individual that's on this call today, our principals, our leaders, their school staff, their teams are very willing and able to assist you, put you at ease. They are also welcome you to just call their school if you have any additional questions. And also just to inform you that we do have a Let's Talk tool. You can visit the website. There's a tab on the side of the screen where you can either provide us with a text or verbally leave a message in terms of any additional questions that you might have that might be a general question regarding the choice process. We will be happy to help you within 24 to 48 hours. And so again, any additional questions, I know there was one question regarding summer learning opportunities. All of our schools are in different places, especially with right now with COVID. We're still talking about and planning how we will provide information to our families with regard to summer opportunities. So please be on the lookout for information either through our website or again, going through our Let's Talk tool. Again, leaving either a text or leaving a voicemail and we will get right back to you. So again, thank you everyone. Enjoy your Saturday. And again, please stay safe. Thank you. And thank you to Delia for her interpretation services today. Bye-bye.